Throughout the game, you will encounter minigames. The largest of these is probably the chocobo racing, played from Gold Saucer, a theme park in the middle of a desert. This largely boring sport entails entering a chocobo that you've bred and watching it win or lose a race. You can cheer it on a little, but it's so mind-numbing you probably won't care to. Of course, breeding is an event in itself, incorporating way too many greens and nuts and being made entirely pointless by the Golden Chocobo award given to you for beating one of the game's super bosses. The only real reason to do this is to get the Knights of the Round summoned earlier. There's some interesting minigames tied into the storyline though. The first you'll see is a Road Rash style highway chase, where you have to protect your friends from inexplicably advancing bikers. It's throwaway really, but a break after all the heavy crap in Midgar. There's snowboarding for the more extreme of you, where you have to avoid snowmen shaped like Moogles. On top of this, you'll find a battle arena to play with in Gold Saucer, which is integral in obtaining Cloud's ultimate limit break, the Omni Slash. The controls work exactly how you'd expect, though the lack of analog control could get annoying in the more 3D environments. Cloud could be fiddly to line up with the directional pad, and your fingers could cramp if pushed for too long, though never to the extent of a session on the Mega Drive's isometric Sonic tile. You'd also never hospitalise yourself outright by breaking your hands like having to play Super Mario 64 on the DS. Though of course I could also sum up the controls by saying you press the cross button a lot in menus. From a retrospective standpoint, graphically it's aged terribly. While you can't really fault the pre-rendered scenery, the 3D models used, especially for the characters, are positively abominable. They're really nothing more than rudimentary shapes that happen to have eyes floating around approximately where their faces should be. It isn't entirely evident what the characters actually look like until you get them into battle, and even then you won't be able to see anything past Tifa's back-aching talent. You can get over it though, because the game is still quite immersive, and you really won't notice the graphical inadequacies once you get into the flow. Final Fantasy VII is available for a massively hyped up retro price on the PlayStation these days, but otherwise the incredibly difficult to find PC version is around. Recently the game's been added to the PlayStation Store for a much more reasonable price, minus all that disc changing nonsense, and compatible with the PSP for playing 7 on the 77 to work or whatnot. There's no doubt that Final Fantasy VII was a great game. It blew everyone away with its newfangled CGI scenes, while rival RPGs were still cramming Kraymals into cages while residing in 2D land and staying almost exclusively to Japan and America. The CD format had allowed Square to strut their stuff harder than they ever had before. Sadly, there's also no doubt that Final Fantasy VII has dampened the impact of the following titles in the franchise. It's this that gives me slightly mixed feelings with so many series firsts under its Nomura design belts. It lingers in your memory, with a serious rose tinting. While I don't hate Cloud and his posse, I feel they've become victims of their own success, being forced into just about anything Square can think of. Maybe it's about time we let them rest. Besides, it has to be good. It came on 3 discs.